Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the stream. It's me, Digi, and we are back in Microsoft Flight Simulator, or the first gen of the redo called FS 2020. We are in Thunder Bay, and we are continuing our westward bound flight series. We started all the way, I believe, in St. John's, I want to say, and we've been flying westbound since then. I think we flew from St. John's to Halifax that first flight, and we recently flew from, I'm probably going to butcher this, so I apologize in advance, Sault Ste. Marie to Thunder Bay, which was a very quick flight. Today's going to be probably about as long. It's just going to be a one shot, and I'm not even firing up saying tensions. I'm just going to have some fun with FS2 crew, and we are going to chill today. Like, chill. We're going to catch up. We're going to have FS2 crew, in our collective, ears telling us things and allowing us to enjoy the flight. I've got one of my cats with me who it may be hopping on to do some some line training duties, as it were. But Nathan, if you're here or if you're lurking and you are listening to me right now, I just have one thing to say to you: living the dream. All right. Good afternoon, people. We are back in the amazing little helper called the Boeing 737-600, a plane which the wingspan is actually larger than the length of the plane itself, which is amazing. Also, it's a bit of a little plane that could. It's very peppy, very performant, and it's usually quite often a joy to fly. This is the reason why I don't lament not being able to find a really well behaved or well reviewed Embraer, like, E175, E195, and why I can wait a little bit for the 757 and the A220 to actually come out. There's an A220 version out now, but apparently there's some things that it can't do, especially on ATC networks like VATSIM. So I'm going to go ahead and say no for now. I could be wrong if it's that it can't do stuff or if it doesn't do it very well. But like I said, 737-600, quite happy with. And today I am joined by my first officer, Stephanie. Stephanie is just chilling, hanging out for us to get started. Again, I'm not on an ATC network, and I do have my flight plan set to sim brief. And these preps to take off actually happen pretty quickly. 30 minutes goes by really fast. Of course, that 30 minutes is going to start when I give my FO the command. So let's go ahead and give my FO the command right now, which is, let's start setting up. Did I say that correct? Let's start setting up.
Roger.
There we go. All right, great. So we've got a default airport, and GSX Pro plugs in its own jetways, world of jetways, if you will. And now we're going to go down here because I want to make sure I hook up the ground power to get started. And we're going to request ground power, which means I'm not going to have a really annoying sound reminding me, hey, you're running on battery. All right, so we have ground power, and we're going to go ahead and align our IRS system first. We'll do a really quick check. And look, it started. Okay, start warning will probably come on later, and my FO always likes to get the APU going as quickly as possible. So, is what it is. Align is done, and I think, wait, did I do align to nav? I'm not sure. Maybe I missed my FO flipping those from align to nav, or I put them there. It's okay, not a problem. Flight time, excuse me, block time for today is going to be something around an hour and 40 minutes. So this is not going to be a very long flight at all. Probably closer to, like, an hour or so. Okay. Get the logo light on. This is a DIGI flight after all. And get the battery on the ground power. And before I continue, let's take a look at my flight plan on SimBrief. We're going to see how far up into the atmosphere this plane's going to go. It's going to be 36,000 feet for the cruise, which is kind of crazy. My FO is communicating with the ground and getting everything set. 36,000 feet, and when we land, we're going to go to James Armstrong Richardson International. This is Charlie Yankee Whiskey Golf. And what was I looking for? Yes, airport elevation, which is pretty close to 800 feet. Close enough for me to comfortably put that as a pressure without it being too much of an issue. So I think we have most of the stuff set up to begin with. I want to just make sure I have my panel set up. They're getting us loaded with a bunch of goodies for the flight. And there's my fave squawk code. And let's go over here. Pardon me, Stephanie. There we go. Main panel brightness is up. I'm not going to worry too much about the flood lighting. Again, we're going to have lots of lighting inside here for the usual deal. Wheel chocks are set, and they're going to be set for a while before we actually get ready to go. We're 5 minutes in, so I'm not going to waste too much more time getting myself up and running. We'll go to Posinet, and we will take a look at the departing runway, which I believe is Charlie Yankee Quebec Tango. I was right. Thunder Bay. And route, we're going to fly to Charlie Yankee Whiskey Golf. Charlie Yankee Whiskey Golf. Flight number Pacific Western 197. And we will start the flight planning. We're probably going to take the Thunder Bay 1 out of here. And there we go. We're departing on runway 07. And what does the departure do actually? The departure has a initial climb of 4,000 feet. Climb 074 for vectors, no right turn below 1800. I'm assuming it's going to be a left turn, but we'll see. And that should be fine. We have it. We'll take runway 7. Activate, execute, and now we're going to start getting into the performance in it. Now, let me go to FS Actions and see what the payload is actually going to be. There's probably going to be a difference between what it says my zero fuel weight is going to be and what we actually have. What do I need? What do I need? I need to take a look at my briefing preview. Yeah, the FO is right on top of it, making sure we're catered and ready to go. And what do we have? We have 132 passengers, more than what the max is for the 736, but whatever, which probably means we're going to be taking 114.5 for zero fuel weight, just like I said. And what are we taking for fuel? We're taking 14,400 pounds. Let's go to fuel. Now, since the APU is already running, I'm going to say 15,400 pounds, just so we have a little bit of buffer in case we're down on the ground for a little bit, because I'm assuming she already has the APU running or will shortly. So 15.4 for fuel, 114 and a half for zero fuel weight. Okay. So with 15.4, we're going to have an extra 1,000 pounds of reserve. And the cost index for today's flight is going to be 8. So We'll put in the planned fuel, and we'll start on our way. Welcome aboard to everybody, especially to my lurkers. Appreciate having you aboard. You guys bring up the channel algorithm, and I appreciate you. Cruise is going to be 360, and cruise wins today are going to be 003 at 022. We'll plug that in, execute that, and go to N1 limit. So we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and go over here, load the flight plan into the EFB, which means we'll be able to reference some of those items in the performance tool. We'll import choose runway 7. We're going to import the aircraft data from the OFP, or we can import this and import weather. And now
Hi, the security and safety check are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
go for it.
Thanks.
All right, so they're going to board passengers pretty soon, and our flight crew is going to our flight attendants are going to come on board. That's the crew. So flaps 1, cell temp 47. And where's our trim? Trim is 5.06. Got it. .47, excuse me. All right, we're going to do just straight takeoff and climb. And flaps 1. I believe it was 5.06 for trim. Let's confirm that. Yeah, 5.06, seen twice. All right, so 5.0607 should be fine. 129, 130, 134, and 134 is what we're going to put up top. .134, and our departure course out of Thunder Bay is going to be most likely 074, which is the runway heading. Excuse me, the magnetic deviation. Passengers should be boarding shortly. And I'll put 074 over here as well. We're going to use an RNAV, so I'm not going to worry about a course heading. But to kind of be proper, I might use the course heading from the RNAV. And that course heading is...
Do you want to board crew?
Yes, I do.
Crew boarding starting.
What's the course heading? We're landing 18, of course, 185. Okay, there we go. Just a visual reminder, initial climb is going to be 4,000 feet today. And that should give me auto throttle. Flight directors are already on. Let's go ahead and tap VNAV and LNAV. And we'll auto tune the altimeter to 3016. Minimums for our arrival are probably going to be 1200 MDA. Wait, that's decision height. Oh, I get it. Yeah. MDA. MDA is 1200.
Your crew has boarded.
Hello.
Passengers boarding starting.
We got the passengers boarding. We got 19 minutes on the clock. Let's go. And I said 1200 is the decision. There we go. Just off by 1. All right, great. So decision height is set. Let's go ahead and make sure we're monitoring traffic with our QA. And
Welcome on board.
we've got our performance set. And let's go upstairs and make sure that we're set up here. Yaw damper on. We'll get all the fuel pumps flowing. Actually, I don't think there are that many fuel pumps on, period. In fact, nothing in the center. packs on for now, just for passenger comfort. APU bleed to on, and we'll get the windows on.
Good afternoon.
All right, A's off, B's on for initial startup, and let's see. Nobody behind the plane, so shouldn't be a problem turning on the APU. That's interesting.
Welcome on board.
There we go. The exterior sounds kind of kept bleeding through. So, landing altitude is set, cruise altitude is set.
Boarding
All
pass,
right,
please.
let's get the APU fired up. I'll turn on the anti-collision light once we get the passengers boarded. I think the steady strobe light should be enough of a warning for everybody. Unless I'm wrong. Somebody correct me in chat if I am.
Welcome on board.
Okay, looks like we just finished boarding the last passenger. Or at least it got quiet. Let's turn on the anti-collision light. And that should be enough for me to get started. Here comes the APU. Or I think what happened was one of the flight attendants closed the door behind us and gave us the loadout. And now we have the APU on the bus. So I can switch over to APU Gen. And that means I can remove ground power, dismiss that from downstairs. Ground power release. Let's get the parking brake set. Parking brake is set, which means we can dismiss the wheel chocks. And that's it. Alright, performance is set. And now we should be able to get going. Let's go over the departure brief, please.
Are you ready for the departure brief?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's going to be a standard pushback.
Cargo Fire, welcome aboard. We're going to Winnipeg in Canada today. Good to see you, friend. It is a privilege having you aboard.
Will be off. Standard reject actions to V1 as brief from V1, or if the call is to continue, I will continue to take off as per standard company procedures. The engine out procedure today is as per the chart. We're under our maximum landing weight, so we're okay to
Have a
make
first officer with me, Stephanie.
Okay, all going well. The departure routing will be via the ATC. No noise abatement procedures required. LNAV and VNAV are armed. Flight directors are on. Mine is master.
Indeed, friend.
Yours is slave. Navigation radius are set. The NOTAMs and the aircraft defect log have been reviewed. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
No questions.
Departure brief complete.
Okay, great. So departure brief is ready, and I think once we get to the point where we finish getting loaded, we should probably be able to get started with our checklists. Let me just run through my checks up top. I'll do my star warnings. And I think we are aligned. And now I think I'm going to turn my dome light off. And just double check. Yaw damper is on. We got our fuel pumps ready to go. We're running APU. And that should be it. Yeah, window heat's on, probe heat's off. A's off, B's on. And now we should be able to get going with our departure. So let's go ahead and get our FO to help us go through the before start checklist. Before start checklist, please.
Logbook.
Aboard.
Landing gear pins.
3 aboard.
Fire warning and overheat.
Checked.
Start levers.
Take a really quick peek. Cut off.
Stab, trim, cutout switches.
I do need to get my trim set to about 5. So let me just take the opportunity to do that real fast if I can. Just past 5 is fine. I'm not going to try to go nuts with the setup. That's fine. And just for giggles, I'm going to make sure this is 197. Normal.
Lights test.
Checked.
FMC.
Programmed.
Briefings.
Actually, belay that order. Let me just make sure that we have the entire flight plan programmed, because I think we did the performance. See, there you go. We didn't finish the flight plan. So hang on for a moment, and we're going to go to India November Lima as our first waypoint. India November Lima, excuse me. This is why we have checklists. And we are going to do, what's the waypoint? Take me to the waypoint, please. The waypoint is 4893. 4893. That's it. That's the first one. And we're going to double check the rest of the waypoints. We're going to go direct to Govit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board today. As you locate your assigned seats, please place your smaller items under the seat in front of you to provide more room for larger items in our overhead compartments. If you need assistance, contact.
And now we can do the arrival into
you are unable to
Winnipeg.
accommodate any item
That's
in
going to
the
be
cabin,
the
please report to our
NORAC
table
5
for
arrival.
you. Also, review the safety instruction card in your seat pocket.
NORAC
If you
5
are
for
seated
18.
in an exit seat, also review the exit
RNAV
card.
Hey
Zulu.
guys, all packs are on board. Are we clear to close?
Yes.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, so they're getting ready to get out of here, so should we. And what was the transition I said? Let me go ahead and check the approach. Come on. That should do it. Okay, great. So now we have vectors for departure, but since we're not on any kind of ATC network today, I'm not going to use the vector option. We're going to go straight to our VOR, and we're going to get rid of the discontinuity. Unable 250 at NORAC, we'll deal with that when we get to it. Not worried about that at all. Okay, now, say again.
Briefings.
Complete.
Oxygen mask and quantity.
All right, we'll double check that real fast. Checked.
EECs.
On.
Navigation switches.
Normal.
Display switches.
Auto and normal.
Fuel.
15.4 cleared, center pumps off. 15.4 cleared with center pumps off.
Passenger signs.
Auto.
Window heat.
On.
Hydraulic pumps.
A's off, B's on.
Pressurization.
Auto. Set auto.
Flight instruments.
Set and checked.
Auto brake.
RTO.
Takeoff warning horn.
Checked.
Parking brake.
Set.
Transponder.
TARA.
Aileron and rudder trim.
Centered.
Before start originating checklist complete.
Wonderful. Before push checklist, please.
0 fuel weight.
114.5 set. 114.5 set.
Takeoff weight.
Let's double check that, shall we? Fuel, still got plenty of it. Let's check the payload. Oh, wait. It's right here. Gross weight 1277. Versus 1289er. 127.7 cross-checked.
PWB remarks.
HK, my friend. It's been a long time. Welcome back. Doing a quick flight in the 737. Say last. Repeat last. Repeat last.
PWB remarks.
Reviewed.
And ones.
87.4 max set. Set and checked.
Runway.
07 set.
Flaps.
Yes, sir. Buzzsaws. PWB1 CDU1.
V speeds.
129, 130, 134 set.
Stab trim.
5.07 set.
Minimum cleanup altitude.
4,000 set.
Flight deck door.
Lights out.
Before push checklist complete.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're about ready to do a pushback. Cockpit to ground, we're ready for pushback. Say that again. Cockpit to ground, we are ready for pushback. So good, welcome aboard. We are pushing back from Thunder Bay today, and we're going to be going to Winnipeg. I have
Hello,
not.
Captain. We are ready for pushback.
I have not bought the 200 yet. I have the 777-300, and I'm waiting for FS2 crew to get an animated first officer for the 300, because if I can do that and I can buy the SOP, then that means we can do long hauls with an animated first officer helping, which would be dope.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted. Locking gear.
That's weird. I mean, I'm getting pretty good range in green. Maybe I need to bring it closer. Hold on. Let me know if my volume is too low on the microphone, chat. I'm like almost at pure zero for volume. So I'm not sure I'll be able to increase it much. Alright, so they're asking for my pushback instructions. Let me double check. We're going to go 07, and if I actually get my location at the airport, then we can do nose left, tail right. Oh, right. Got to get rid of those BMDG chocks. Wait, I already got rid of them. Stand by. Yeah, they're verified. We should not have chocks on this board at all.
Release parking brakes, please.
Oh, don't know why I got turned back on, but that's fine. Whatever. And hang on. There we go.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, block time beginning. Start right engine. Start right engine.
Starting engine 2.
Superb. So she should be taking care of the engine startup procedure.
pressure.
There we go. I'll switch over to the engines. Let's see when she turns on the fuel flow. So right around 28%. That's cool.
Light off.
Good to see everybody here. Again, hello to Cargo Fire, HK, Sogan. Looks like we've got some traffic pulling in here. That's either, I don't think that's a multiplayer. I think that's actually AI aircraft pulling in, which is kind of neat actually, in local WestJet colors.
Roll back.
It's been a year. Incredible. Um, Start left engine. Start left engine.
Starting
There we go.
engine 1.
It has been amazing how fast a year goes by, and now we Mrs. Digi. Mrs. Digi is still getting medical stuff taken care of. We're still trying to figure out
Oil
exactly what's
pressure.
going on, but I'm hoping that we are.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
I'm hoping we're in a better place with regards to understanding what has to be done. I'm hoping because we've seen a lot of doctors and there's still not a really clear path forward, which is what I'm hoping happens very
Light off.
soon. We have flaps one set right now. She'll probably take care of the packs and the probe heat, but I'll double check that a bit. I'm trying to figure this out. Let me see if there's a setting in my streaming software that lets me boost the microphone volume. Okay, like I'm absolutely maxed out for volume now. Okay, that's fine. We are good.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
It wasn't gut surgery. She had she had foot surgery, and she also had some other stuff checked out surgically. So it's been a
Unlocking
while.
gear.
It's amazing, but the whole a good chunk of the journey started about five 5.5 years ago at this point, and we've been dealing with it.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
All clear. Okay, so she's taking care of my setup upstairs, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the taxi light. Before taxi checklist, please.
Electrical.
Generators on.
Gentlemen, welcome
Probe
on
heat.
board our flight today. This is the lead flight attendant
On.
speaking.
Anti-ice.
Please direct your attention to the cabin crew for important
Off.
safety information.
Flight controls.
There is an instruction card in your seat pocket that illustrates the
Let's check those flight controls right
on
now.
this aircraft. Regulations require compliance with this information as
All
well
right,
as
full
all
left,
instructions, lighted
full
information
right,
signs, and posted placards.
full forward,
Fasten your
full
seatbelt
back,
by inserting the metal tip into the buckle.
full
Tighten the
left
screw
and
on the
right
belt.
rudder.
To release your
We're good.
seatbelt, lift the metal flap on the buckle.
Free.
It is our
Flight
policy
deck
that you
windows.
keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated.
Closed and locked.
Doors are
Flaps.
clearly marked with exit signs and instructions for door operation.
CDU 1 indicates one green light.
Door is equipped with an
Set and checked.
Before
Locate the
taxi
exit
checklist
nearest you.
complete.
The nearest exit may be behind you.
Clear left.
In an emergency,
Clear
lights
right.
will illuminate the aisle.
All right.
Cabin is
So
pressurized. If there is a loss of cabin
taxiway
pressure, a
out
panel
to
will
zero
open
seven is going to
oxygen
be
mask will appear.
forward to Alpha and then
When your
Alpha
seatbelt
to
fastens,
runway
you will have
30
slowed your start
and then back
signal to
taxi zero
oxygen.
07.
Oxygen will be flowing to the mask even though the bag may not inflate. Cover
And
your nose and mouth with the mask. Place
taxi
an
lights
elastic band around
on.
your head
That should be
and tighten
everything we need.
carefully
Just got to
on
get
the
rid of
ears.
that parking
Wear
brake.
your own mask before assisting others. Your seat bottom cushion may be used as a flotation device. Pull up and remove the cushion.
I appreciate
Contact
the
the
prayer, my
nearest
friend.
strap. Place your arms around the cushion
Well,
and hold on
with
to the
regards to
strap
stuff
while
going
seated on the
on,
back. This is a
stuff's going to keep
non-negotiable
going
place
on
to
until the
move.
day
Others will
that
take the
my
cabin
Lord and
board
Savior
mask
comes
away.
home for his children.
Cabin lights will now
Until
be turned
then,
off. Reading
I
lights
do
on
my
you are
best
located
to
above your seat.
honor the Lord and those that are governing over me. Otherwise, I try not to overthink the situation too much, but I mean, I think it's important for me to keep some kind of eye on the issue. I'm just going to go ahead and say my prayer is for everyone to have wisdom, and I mean everyone. So I'm just going to sit and let things be. Um, I tend to think quietly about a lot of this stuff, and that's usually where I leave it on stream. I like to give as much room to everyone to have their opinions as possible. And I understand some folks are going to blatantly disagree with what's going on. Some folks are going to blatantly agree with what's going on. That's just how it goes. I personally am hoping for a prosperous administration period and for a chance to significantly pay down my debt and pay off my bills because there are a lot of them to pay, as you would imagine, spending time in and out of hospitals. So I am praying for wisdom there so that the current economy allows me to have good options for doing things like my job, future prospects, launching a business. Of course, Sogan. Clearly, I'm sorry I forgot, my dude. I mean, obviously, your opinion is the only one that matters. Clearly, clearly. I'm sorry I forgot. All right, cool. So we are well on our way, and we have a healthy little taxi speed. I see. I want to be as empathetic and as patient with everyone as humanly possible because I understand some people just do the deal and they either don't want to hear anybody else's point of view or they're just vehement about that. So I want to give people grace and lots of room. Approaching the departure runway. All right, let me slow it down a little bit just so we can get our lights on, taxi light off, position light to flashing, and nobody coming in. Cool. But I will say this, HK, such was I, you know. There but for the grace of God go I. I want to be very, very, very patient and empathetic and as generous with everyone as I can be. If you want to get belligerent and, risk me physical harm, then clearly I don't think that's a point at which I can have a conversation with someone. I need to step back and let them handle their business. I can respect that, Sogan. I genuinely want to, at times, listen to people to understand what it is they're talking about. Once the conversation gets to a point where either or both sides start yelling, the point of an information exchange is completely lost. Before takeoff checklist, please.
Minimum takeoff fuel.
All right, stand by for that. We'll get lined up and we'll go over that real fast before we take off. All right, good enough. Let's double check. We have 15.1 and we said 14.4. 15.1 checked. And what was it? That's the official verbiage for takeoff. Verified. Verified.
Departure plan.
Complete.
Attendant notification.
Let's go ahead and send a ding up there. Complete.
Electrical.
Generators on.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Packs.
Auto.
Bleeds.
Engines on, APU off.
Start switches.
Continuous. Set and checked.
APU.
Off.
Flaps.
CDO 1 indicates one green light. Set and checked. Set and checked.
Start levers.
Idle.
Recall.
Checked.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Runway 07 verified, final is clear.
Final is clear.
All right, let's go ahead and fly off to Winnipeg. Set takeoff thrust 88.
Thrust set.
That's at 40% N1. The first officer is actually making some stuff work upstairs. And take off. Power set.
80 knots.
80 knots seen.
V1. Rotate.
All right, we'll go gear up. As soon as I hit 400, I'm going to go ahead and turn on autopilot. Command A. More cowbell.
Roger.
No tail strike. You finished your S2. Congratulations. Set flaps up. Flaps up.
Flaps up.
Okay, 3,000 on the way to 4,000. We're not flying on a network. Let's go ahead and bug up to 36,000 feet. Set altitude 36,000.
6,000. Set.
Right, we are getting out of town with a quickness. Let's go. Let me just check. Hold on. Whoops. Let's see. Make sure the gear is all the way up. There we go. Landing gear up.
Check speed.
But we're fine for that. Now it can stay off. Beautiful. Sheesh, I deploy my landing gear at like 270 knots just to slow down. Probably shouldn't. We are giving it the beans to 10,000, that's for sure. Well done, Stephanie. Well done. Approaching 10,000. 10,000 feet. Landing lights off. Climb checklist.
Pressurization.
Checked.
Start switches.
Off.
APU.
Off.
Climb checklist complete.
Fantastic. Let's get the flight attendants in position. Okay, so we're just blasting out of Thunder Bay on our way into Winnipeg today. It's going to be, I think, a relatively short flight. Relatively. Let's double check. I don't expect to be in the air. This is going to be off by about 5 or 10 minutes. I don't expect to be in the air longer than another 50 minutes or so. Top of climb is right there, and top of drop is going to be less than, a little bit more than like 80 nautical miles away. But yeah, that's it. Not too bad. All right, in case anybody missed the livery on the first few times that we were outside, I'm going to go ahead and check out the plane from outside. Earphones warning. Let's take a look. This is the Pacific Western livery. Pacific Western is no longer in service, but basically I think they were consumed either by Air Canada or WestJet. But Pacific Western has a special place in my heart because there is a Pacific Western 737 200 parked in just off one of the runways at Villeneuve Airport, which is outside Edmonton. Yeah, the 600 gets it done, man. And here we go. 18,000 feet standard set.
Standard set.
Okay, let's go ahead and hit the standard button, and there we go. Gonna finish our climb to 36,000 feet, and we will continue on our route to Winnipeg. Good afternoon to everybody. Wishing you a very good Sunday afternoon. We are doing a very quick flight today, just a blast out to Winnipeg, and honestly, the last time that I was flying westbound through Canada in a sim, it was literally about 6 years ago. 6 years ago or so, and I was doing flights in FSX before I decided to actually completely torpedo my installation in favor of continuing to use X-Plane 11, which I had at the time. I was using my very first sim rig, which was a Ryzen Ryzen 5. It was, I think it was a, what was it, a 1600? I think it was a 1600, which I had overclocked to about 3.8, 3.9 gigs, and I was using a 2060 Super at the time. It it lasted a good long while, and then I wound up parting ways with that computer, but it got me through the rest of my FSX flights. It got me into X-Plane 11, and I even did a little bit of FS 2020 while I was using that. It was a pretty robust system, and it took the punishment I gave it. So I'm happy that it lasted as long as it did. SimRig 2.0 is a Ryzen 9. Yeah, it's a Ryzen 9. It's a 5900X, I believe, and I have a 3060 Ti running on this with 64 gigs of RAM. This would probably work just as well with 32 gigs of RAM. I wouldn't want to fly FS 2020 or FS 2024 with anything less than 32 gigs. But if you only have 16 gigs of RAM and you upgrade to 32, it'd probably be a noticeable difference. Just my assumption anyway. Still climbing at about 2,500 feet per minute, which is wonderful. Don't see anybody on radar at the time. I got a Ryzen because I was looking for a very inexpensive chip. I also hadn't built a computer in literally years, so I had no clue what I was getting into in terms of chipsets. But when I went to the place I got it from, which was Micro Center, the person that walked me through the process recommended the AMD chip. The 1600 at the time was being sold with its own included Wraith cooler, this tiny little air cooler that sat on top of the CPU, which, as it turned out, was really stout. It actually did a pretty good job at trying to keep the temperatures down, but when I overclocked it to like 3.8, 3.9 gigs, it could barely keep up. When I got the Cooler Master Evo coolers, that took another 10 degrees off. Oh my. A seven, doubling the performance, that's got to be a trip. That's incredible. Congratulations. Really happy for you with that. But yeah, dude, the Wraith cooler was the little cooler that could. And the 1600, I don't, dude, looking back on this, it's amazing how stout the Ryzen 5 was. It routinely ran warm. Like warm as in high 80s warm. And it just took it and just kept coming back for more. Just kept coming back for more, for more, for more. I think towards the end of my time using it, I would replace the thermal paste about once a year, and it served me really well. Ah, that's fantastic. It's so nice when you can just crank up the settings or have such a smooth, reliable experience. It's like it's like you there's a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of you that goes, "Oh man, well, I mean, I guess I'm not doing my part to tweak settings anymore." But then the rest of you is like, "Turn it up." And then you just see details and you just enjoy a smoother or more robust experience. That's so cool. That is literally so cool. Um, humor. I saw a video on YouTube about a week or two ago where somebody took a Ryzen 5 and I'm sorry, didn't take a Ryzen 5. Somebody took a Raspberry Pi 5 and water cooled it. And literally they had it running with firmware updates overclocked to somewhere around 3.13 gigahertz, and the temperature on the chip was 23. And I was impressed. That's cool. 100 plus FPS? Dude. Now, I think the next change for me in terms of actually flying in the sim is, and you might chuckle at this, buying a monitor. I have been using a I've been using a TV for the past, literally ever since I got SimRig 1.0. And I think the problem with the TV is not that it's flaky, it's just that when you get it to 2160p, even when you go to I think 1440p, the refresh rate isn't as strong as the what I like to call the native resolution of 1080p on the TV. So it seems less smooth, even though the frame rate's actually pretty good. If I take a look at my frame rate right now, hang on. If I take a look at my
Three,
frame rate
five,
right now,
thousand, four, three, 6,000.
it's like 50 frames per second. It seems a little choppier than that, but we're good. HK, tell you what, I've been using a 3060 Ti for the past like literally almost 4 years now, and
Gentlemen, in just a few moments,
it's
we'll
pretty
begin our
cool.
meal service for the flight. Please refer to the menu given to you on boarding for the two meal choices and your beverage choices available. We request that you keep the aisles clear to assist the flight attendants to serve you efficiently
Nice.
and also for your own safety.
The AMD Ryzen line has had quite a bit of a rise to prominence. All right, let's go ahead and turn off the fasten seatbelt signs for a little bit. And there we are. We do have some traffic off the starboard bow. Can't see it because it's like way out there, probably like 30 nautical miles. I liked the 1600 that I had. I didn't have a 37. I went from 16 to 5900. But yeah, I mean the current gen like 7000 series, like I think Studio Canuck has one powering his sim rig, and basically at this point he just doesn't even just doesn't bother overclocking anymore, which is superb. Oh, let me chill for a little bit. Hand off control to the FO. You have control. You have control.
I have control.
Fantastic. All right. So we've got literally about 10 minutes before we hit top of drop. What I did was with the 5900, I unlocked Performance Boost Overdrive, and then I got it so that the individual cores boosted up and down, in like so that we could get a really good performance spread without being locked into a very specific speed. And it's set to only go as high as the motherboard allows it to, which basically means I go right up to minimums. I'm sometimes straddling the line at 90, maybe 90.3, but that's under absolute torture test, max load, which is not all the time. and I try to replace my thermal paste every year. I went about a year and a half between the applications of thermal paste recently, and I noticed that once I reapplied thermal paste and got the system back up and running, there was a little bit of a stability that I got back. Yeah, and I think the best consistent, like, every core speed, the highest that my system goes is probably somewhere around 4.2 at times. I tried running Prime 95 and doing the absolute worst torture test. You cannot run the utter torture tests overclocked, because if they're overclocked across the board, they'll force a reboot. But when I do Performance Boost Overdrive and individual cores can spin up and spin down, it runs by itself happily until you get scared and say, okay, that's enough. If you haven't replaced your thermal paste in the past 2 years, I would strongly recommend it. And, you know, Slogan has some recommendations. I've used Arctic Silver, but I've heard great things about Cryonaut. Like, really great things. In fact, I should probably spend some of the money that I have left over to buy some thermal paste and potentially reapply thermal paste to my current rig to see if it brings down the thermal temps on my CPU. All right, we got about 70 nautical miles. How are we doing upstairs? Let me see. Not much. Not much. We didn't trigger any, off-schedule descent warnings, so that's good. And I think we're good. I think we're okay. Now, let me replace my core setting with the core setting for the Arnav Zulu approach, and that should be fine. It is 185. Set heading 274.
274, set.
Detbauer is a madman. Let me take a look. Let me see how much the Cryonaut stuff costs. If it's anything even around $10, I'm probably gonna buy it today. All right, so here we go. Cryonaut thermal paste in the East Coast Mid-Atlantic US. Extreme 2 gram, extremely high performance thermal paste is $21.99 for a 2 gram application. I wonder how long that would last if I just reapplied and then put it away and literally didn't go through the entire bottle for like a year. I can get a 1 gram for $10, which is probably what I'm going to get. It doesn't need to be applied as often, which means I can probably get the 1 gram and only spend $10 and then basically have that. Yeah, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do, because the alternative was for me to spend some money on like a flight sim add-on or something, and I'm not, I'm I'm definitely not gonna worry about that um, right now, at least. So thermal paste, I think it is. Ooh, we have some inbound traffic. A triple. Can't really tell from where, but it's nice to see traffic at this altitude. I think if I got Cryonaut, I'd reliably let it go for a year and a half and not even blink, not even blink. All right, so we've got about 50 nautical miles. Let's go ahead and do the approach brief. Is there anything special about the approach brief? Anything special about our arrival? Um, we will come in, descend, head about north-northeast before we turn around for the 1-8 approach into Winnipeg. And the approach is going to be heading of 185. Shouldn't have anything in the way of significant obstacles, so I don't think this is going to be an issue. I think we should be fine. Welcome aboard, Lyles. Happy to have you aboard. We're doing a really quick flight out to Winnipeg, and as a matter of fact, we're about halfway through the flight right now. The CPU consumes, doesn't sound like the CPU consumes a lot of power. Okay. All right, let's run the approach brief.
Are you ready for the approach brief?
Okay.
The arrival routing will be via the ATC assigned star, complying with all published speed and altitude restrictions for an ILS approach, planning a flaps 30 landing. Taxi route in will be as assigned by ATC. We'll be arriving at the gate. No APU required. We'll be using the GPU after shutdown. Descent speeds and navigation radios are set. Airport NOTAMs have been reviewed. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
No questions.
Approach brief complete.
Okay, that's easy. I have control. There we go. And she even set the auto brake for me. How nice.
You have control.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. This whole automated first officer thing is kind of dope. I don't know if you can make it GPU intensive. I'm flying the 737 with the FS2 crew, uh, you know, add-on. Plus, my first officer that's animated is another add-on. So basically, I'm running two systems from FS2 crew. I'm running a simulator with GSX, and I'm running the PMDG add-on. This is the PMDG 737-600. So I guess I made it a little bit more GPU intensive because I have an animated first officer in the flight deck? Question mark? But yeah, this is probably about as good as it's going to get. Let me see how far away we are from top of descent. Okay, not that far. So let me double check. What are we going to do for the descent checklist? Minimums, VRF and target speeds, auto brake, and recall. So let's go ahead and double check our approach speed. Let's go back to here, go to approach ref. I usually like landing flaps 30, and there's not that much of a disparity between 30 and 40 for approach speed. So there we go. Flap speed is set. We are turning in. We should be in Winnipeg probably in like another 20-25 minutes. Maybe 35 or 45 minutes at the worst. I wonder what my GPU settings, my GPU performance is like right now. Okay, so let's see. I know my main thread apparently is the bottleneck right now. GPU memory, I'm just short of using all my GPU memory right now, so I'm basically, yeah, I've got everything spread out between the streaming setup, the streaming software, and the sim. I am quite pleased with the performance right now. I'm all right. What did we set? What did we say was the approach speed? It was 131, which means 136 is going to be my VREF plus 5. All right, and I need to set my descent altitude. What is the final approach fix altitude going to be? It's probably going to be 2,100 feet. Set altitude 2,100. Set altitude 2,100. Wait. Set altitude 2,100. There we go.
2,100 set.
All right, we should be able to follow that down. And that's way easier than me scrolling all that stuff, so I'm happy. Set seatbelts on. Let's see. Say it again. Seatbelts on. I forget what the command is. That's fine. And I'll take advantage of the flight attendants just to get one cup of tea before we begin our descent.
Hi, Andy at L1. How can I help you?
One tea, please.
Okay, I'll bring them up in a minute. Hi guys, here are the drinks.
Thank you. All right, so we're getting close to 20 nautical miles. I think we're close enough to do the descent checklist now. Descent checklist, please.
Minimums.
Let's see. Set.
VREF and V target.
131, 136 set.
Auto brake.
3 set.
Recall.
Checked.
Descent checklist complete.
Fantastic. Great day for flying. Happy to continue the westbound trip. I don't know whether I want to stop at Vancouver once we get over to British Columbia, or if I might even bypass Vancouver and go straight to Comox. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I think we got at least, I don't know, 5, 6 more flights to go before we're done with that. At least. Maybe somewhere between 6 to 8 flights before we actually, get as far west as I'm comfortable with. I mean, I could theoretically fly from Vancouver down to Victoria, or fly from Vancouver up to, I could do Vancouver to Kelowna, and then Kelowna to either Comox or Victoria, and then be done. Which which would be a bit of a plot twist. That'd be kind of fun. But again, welcome to everybody today. Happy to have you aboard as I continue my westbound flights in Canada. In FS 2020, we're flying the PMDG 737-600 in the Pacific Western livery. This is a airline that's since been consumed or merged into or purchased by the larger Canadian carriers. I believe Air Canada purchased Pacific Western. I could be wrong. We're flying using FS2 crew and the wonderful assistance of my virtual first officer, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. And we are about to begin top of drop. I'll probably take a look at the plane once we begin because the engines will obviously be a lot less loud than they are right now. We are currently, oh, excuse me. We are currently just shy of 48, 58, 56.3 degrees north, 94, 24, 42.3 degrees west. And we are about to enter that really weird kind of like jutted out portion of the states around Canada before we enter Winnipeg airspace. Actually, we've been in Winnipeg airspace, but we're going to flirt briefly with Minneapolis airspace, and then we will continue on our way as we probably get ready to descend if we're not already descending now. No, we should be very close. I'd say we've been in the air for probably about 35 to 40 minutes at this point. I forgot to turn on the chronometer until we were blasting out of Thunder Bay, so we are somewhere around the 35 to 40-minute mark. That should prove itself once we actually land at Winnipeg. I don't think Winnipeg is anything other than a standard airport. I don't have that much in the way of scenery. Ironically enough, I'm a senior developer, and that's okay. I'm trying to really work my chops back up to do more scenery dev. I've also been busy taking care of work, taking care of the fam, so I'm doing my best to get back to a place where it's easier for me to do scenery dev and just save my creative side of my brain for side projects. Nathan's Plains, welcome aboard, my friend. We are living the dream in the Pacific Western livery. Happy to have you with us. We are on our way into Winnipeg, and we are briefly flirting with Minneapolis airspace as we cross into even what flatter or drier regions of the Canadian countryside. But yeah, work, 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 flight plan, work, work, work. Say hi to Stephanie, and we are on our way down into Charlie Whiskey. Was it? Wait, what was it? Charlie Yankee Whiskey Golf. Laz, I hope you're having a good day today. Excuse me, can I ask you something? Oh no, a passenger with a question. I just haven't watched it for a while. I might watch some of them again, just to get a quick laugh. But just, I mean, come on, the production value alone on the Legos and the appropriate like stop motion animation of actual stuff in a cockpit. Bring, bring back the 4-day bunch. I was actually thinking about titling it the 4-day bunch. I should probably 4-day bunch the rest of the flights to like Vancouver or like Victoria or something, and just switch back and forth between people and just have banter with interesting story. Uh, let's see. Jacksonville Airport. Information Hotel Zulu Special. Winds 09024. Gusts 49er. Thunderstorms in vicinity. Oh, that poor ground marshaller. I see that in my head every time. Uh, oh my word. I mean, I'm serious. The amount of attention to detail that was apparent in those videos is I don't know, like it was eye-opening. Speed break. What they say? Uh, you know, was it like South Carolina, Virginia, Florida, and basically any descent in the California area? I think that was like the third one. Oh wow. See, okay, I'm gonna go on record as saying this. The Living the Dream videos made me take a look at flying and transformed it from this, oh wow, maybe I could actually become a pilot and live out the rest of my days on an aircraft, to nope, the airline industry has its share of problems just like I have my share of problems in software development. You just pick your career. So it it was a welcome exercise in, like, mental, reality checks. Like, okay, you know, there are these people on the ground that do things like set up scheduling for pilots. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe they don't have a lot of friends because they have to schedule things and blah, 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 blah. And Nathan, of course, certainly wishing you well as you hopefully get ready to transition into work with a new company very soon. I remember what you said about Sunwing sun setting. So yeah, I like it's a thing. I see that. I see that. Like, I'll tell you this much. I've worked as long as I have in software development, and for all its problems, there are still some things about software development that I appreciate extensively. But at the same time, it's like, um, it has its share of problems too. And there are some days when I literally don't know what to do to solve a particular problem. So, I mean, software dev definitely has its share of really weird or really crummy happenstance things, or not happenstance things, because companies decide they want to run things a certain way, which may or may not play against the sensibilities or the talents of the people writing the software. But, you know, okay, public transportation industry, pilot industry, manufacturing, construction, everything has its problems. Right, right. It's like there's this thing about airing your grievances just so you can kind of get them off your chest so you can get on to the next thing and go flying. Because, I mean, sheesh, you're going to have a good view, and this is just an incredible corner office, so to speak. And sometimes you can have really good conversations with first officers or captains or whatever, or flight crew. Um, yeah, like, there's so much about the airline industry that I don't know about. And I'm grateful for the people that actually take care of me whenever I hop on an airplane as a passenger. It's a thing. It happens. Oh, right. I was going to show you the aircraft while we were descending. Again, wonderful livery. I'm a big fan. Or at least it's a nod to retro, because they weren't in business for very long. I don't think they Yeah, I think they like lasted until 87, 88, or even before that, like 84. I think it was 87. Yeah, definitely a nice aircraft. I sometimes wish that I was within closer vicinity of other people that worked in other industries, just so we could, like, have a catch up, like, hang out somewhere, shoot the breeze, and just hear each other's stuff, so that we could get a larger world view of just how certain things that we do and certain things that aren't known about what we do, what our business is about, so that we could get better perspective, I guess. But I am definitely grateful for what I can do right now, because I can sit here and just chill as we prepare to arrive in into Winnipeg, and it's gonna be a pretty quick arrival for me. Taxi to the gate, and basically, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, "Hey, good night," click, because I'm gonna get ready. I think I have some friends coming over later, so I want to make sure that I am set to host them this week. More development. We're going to have a new phase of work, so hopefully the challenges that come are not going to be too insurmountable. There are some things that I'm going to try to get finished tomorrow so that we can be done with the work for this sprint, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, I would like to try something new, but at the same time, I'm glad that I am not in a spot where I was last year, where my brain and my capacity to do stuff literally felt like it was shutting down. Interesting. Script as in script for video, or well, I guess I'll let you surprise me then. I'll let you surprise me. Just feel free to post up in Discord in the promotions and shoutouts channel once you get your latest deal done, so I can catch up and catch it. For tonight, I might hop into Canucks stream for a little bit to say hey. I don't know. Ooh, excuse me. I don't know how late I'll stay up, you know, whole going into the week thing, but I can tell you some interesting stuff happened this week. And it started with last Saturday night, because I was waiting for some stuff to copy to a backup drive, and I wound up staying up overnight, and then I slept in, and over the course of that week, last week was the week where I went from drinking 3 cups of coffee a day to drinking 1 cup of coffee a day, and it's been interesting. Flight level 180 approach checklist.
Altimeters.
Let's get that checked. Two 9.903 set. 2993 set.
Packs.
Auto.
Start switches.
Set and checked.
Approach checklist complete.
Fantastic. I'm not going to set flaps 1 until we get close to the airport. Just looked at your last comment, Sogan. Man, I guess it could use some that could use some improvement then, is what you're saying. Interesting. All right. So as long as it does not take me more than like 30 minutes to set this bird down, since we're approaching the airport, I think we should be fine. All right. Comment noted. All right, below 18,000 feet, almost over halfway to 10,000, and then we're going to slow down maybe a little bit more. And let's look at there we go. Decel here, and then we're going to basically vector in or not vector in. Let me see. Legs. Eblin, yes, yes, we can vector. Or if we're set up for the appropriate altitude, we can probably just go straight down to 3,500 feet. So let's remove the vector because, again, I'm not on an ATC network. Unable 250 knots at NORAC, that's fine. I'm not worried about it. We're going to have so much room to keep things packed up. Okay. So auto brake is 3. Did we set our speed brake armed? It is now armed. So unless I overheard something, I think Stephanie might have turned something or gotten something else ready. I don't know. It feels slow. I wonder why we're descending at 250 knots instead of 270. I mean, we're coming up on 10,000 feet, so it's not like we're very far out from the airport, but I wish we wouldn't have descended that that slowly. But at the same time, the Sky West in front of us is going to have plenty of room to position for landing. And the winds are 220 at 23 at this altitude, so a southbound landing looks like it's on tap. So I'm happy. Ooh, little bumpy. Little bumpy. Yep, some wing action there. Okay, so almost coming into the airport at a 45-degree angle and then setting up for the base and final legs. And then we're going to land. When we land at the airport, we are going to try to exit the runway, hopefully by. I mean, it'd be great if we could exit by Foxtrot, but hopefully by Kilo, so that we could actually go to the main terminal. So let's take a look at chart 10-9 Charlie. It's a pity I can't kind of jump to that chart from the main map, but is what it is. We'll go to the north terminal and park up. 10,000 feet, attendance notified. Okay, so we are below 10,000 and we are rapidly coming up on the airport. We seem to be keeping our distance from the aircraft in front of us, which is cool. I think they're going to be landing on the same runway we are. I think. I do see the airport already, or at least one of the runways. So we'll see what happens. And there we go. That's a considerable distance away. That was more zoomed in than anything.
Start our descent. Please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their upright positions. Make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened and all carry-on luggage is stowed underneath the seat in front of you or an overhead bin. Please turn off all electronic devices until we are safely parked at the gate. Thank you.
let's see, runway 18. Aircraft data, current weather, landing in excess of structural limit. Reversers, no credit, auto brakes 3. That makes no sense. 1,000 pounds more fuel puts me over structural limit? Well, we did have like absolutely everybody on board. So here's the test. Either this is wrong or my numbers are wrong. How much fuel? The max was like 14,000. I didn't know how much I was going to burn through while we were at the gate. So I'm probably going to take my sweet time lining up, and I think we might even go slower on the approach, just so we burn through more fuel. And I think we have somebody behind us on approach. I think. And I think they're going to be coming into the same runway, but I don't know that for a fact. We'll see what happens. Does look like the Sky West in front of us is going to be doing the whole runway 18 approach like it was before. Thanks again to everybody that's tuned in today. Really appreciate the company on the way into Winnipeg. Is this actually going to load better? It is loading better. It is loading better. I think we're at 100 for terrain, but I mean, I'm as high as I am, as far away as I am from the city, so I shouldn't expect these things to be absolutely crisp. And it's all right. It honestly is all right. I'm not going to worry about everything being as incredibly well defined as it is. If I want reality, I should go fly a plane. Three Jellybees. You'll excuse my brand name ignorance. I am assuming they're either coffee shops, fast food joints, or something of particular interest to one or more of us in the vicinity. Work, 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 schedule. Work, work, work. Scope clause. Flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
Flight attendants, please be seated for landing. I'm really happy with today's flight. Seriously. The Philippines fast food restaurant. My word. This could be a problem. Oh, oh yes. Nathan, remember how I told you I actually went outside and actually touched grass? I believe I did anyway. I had fried chicken and it was delicious. Oh. Probably didn't do my arteries any favors, but man, did it taste good. Whew. And that reminds me, I still have some leftover cuisine in the fridge. Not from the restaurant that we went to, but did you, did she outside ops are leveling up? And it begins again. Ah, dude, seriously, keep the roasts coming. It's welcome here. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Because I know that chicken was roasted, but actually it was fried. It was fried, and it tasted really good, really good. That and I think beef brisket, or at least I think it was either beef brisket or pulled pork, and I had New York strip steak. Oh my word. Strip steak is so good because I think there's just enough fat content to really give the beef flavor. Been craving dumpster food ever since. Flaps 5. Flaps 5.
Flaps 5.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm probably going to take my time and let the Sky West come on in real nice and easy. Gear down, flaps 15.
Landing gear down. Flaps 15.
Good times, landing gear down, 3 greens. Looking Canadian countryside as we get close to our approach. I don't know if we're going to cut in front of this aircraft. we might get some traffic alerts, but fortunately it's just real-time traffic. It's not like it's another multiplayer. It's like too slow. Let's see. Why did that plane go further out than I did? I don't know. Unless they're not going to Winnipeg and they're going to a different airport in the vicinity. All right. Text message standby 1 chat. Okay. So, just taking care of something briefly, and I will BRB to the chat. And we are coming into the approach at a 25-degree angle. Once we get lined up with the approach, let me turn the approach mode on. Once we get lined up with the approach, we will probably get flaps 25 and get our speed set for the arrival. Okay, all right, so that's good. All right, so I'm still on for my afternoon shindig, which means I need to grease this. And I think the plane behind me is coming into the same runway as well. I think. Yep. Yuppers. And once we get set up on the glide path, I'm probably going to set flaps 25. Or I could override all this, land at like 150 knots, and use more runway and exit later so that I keep my distance from the other aircraft. I don't know. Or I could just do what I said I was going to do, which is land the plane properly, which will be a very good idea. Okay, can I see the landing light from here? I can. I believe I see it. Yeah, so we're 10 nautical miles out. Let's make sure we're cleaned up and ready to land. Flaps 25. Flaps 25.
Flaps 25.
And flaps 30. Flaps 30.
Flaps 30.
Before landing checklist.
Speed brake.
Armed, green light.
Landing gear.
Down, 3 green.
Flaps.
Flaps 30, green light. 30, green light.
Before landing checklist complete.
Indeed, HK, here we go. I'm probably going to get passed by the Embraer. Oh, okay. They're not that close to me, so we're fixing for a nice little runway incursion scenario. Good things, good things. In the sim. So we are descending. What is the go around altitude for today? Go around for the Arnav Zulu approach is going to be 3,000 feet. Let's make sure that's set. Once we cross 2100 on the approach, that's when I'll set that. Physical Sunwing QRH that I borrowed. Nice. Okay, so we are flaps 30 and we are just below VREF. Let's get that speed back up, please. Thank you. Emphasis on the borrowed part. I'll let you handle that. So again, just double checking myself here. Once we get to touchdown, I'm hoping that's in the touchdown zone. Hope to be off by Foxtrot, but since I don't have auto brake 4 or max, hope to be off by Kilo. Oh, yeah. That's not an E75. Yeah, that's fine. They'll fly over my head last second.
1,000 feet.
Landing. It's like, yeah, but we have a really big plane behind us. Ah, whatever. I'm sure we'll get passed up. Because I think, well, we're on glide, so they'll either phase right through. There it is! Da 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 da! That's fantastic. That's not an E75L, sir. That model matching is quite sus. Now, the question is, am I getting wake turbulence? Maybe a touch? Maybe? I don't think so. I don't think so. But, whatever. My aircraft.
500.
Continue, don't care. A little bit to the right, please. 100. Runway incursion because real-time traffic. Don't care. 50. Wow. 20. 10. Nice.
Extended.
Reverse green.
Deployed.
Speed brakes up. Reverser's normal. .80 knots manual braking.
60 knots.
And that's fine. And did we make Kilo? Yes, we made Kilo. Laps up.
Roger.
All right, let me just take a quick peek. Welcome down to Winnipeg, everybody. Local time is, what? Would this be mountain time? If that's the case, it would be 2:11 p.m. I'm happy. Meme moment with that airplane aside. Turn off lights can come off. Taxi light can come on. Position light back to steady. Wing lights on. And let's get the APU fired up and get the APU bleed on. Okay, now that incredibly humorous and very FAA worthy runway incursion notwithstanding, we made it down and experienced a bunch of ground effect on the runway. Like, I'm talking a good chunk. But we are cleaned up, flaps are put away, spoilers are put away, and let's go ahead and park up at the gate and get ready to get set here. Let's go ahead and request a gate, and hopefully, we'll see where the spot is. WestJet. And let's see if it's here. Sure. I think I see our vehicles waiting for us. Nice. I think. Stand by, chat. Stand by. Yeah, I think that's them. I believe that's them. Not bad. I'm actually going to do this old school like I used to in FSX. Okay, so we're off. We're basically onto the tarmac. So I'm going to turn my taxi light off and my wing light off. And I do believe that's where we're going to park. Yep. There we are. Thanks again so much to everyone that came aboard. Let's get the APU on the bus. There we go. Thank you. And there, I think, is my parking spot. There's the marshaller. At least this is where I think I should park. Oh, it wants me parking closer? This seems weird, but okay, whatever. I think I'm gonna need to edit this parking position along with a few others, but is what it is. Okay. Yeah, the markers are way off. Oh, no. No way I'm putting on the country. The whatchamacallit, the default positions for the airport parking spots, they get really weird. Like I literally had my 747 nose into the terminal like Madrid last weekend. So yeah, it's like a some assembly required type deal. A little bit more? Actually, let's see. What if we back up? Oh, there we go. Good enough. Let's go ahead and set the parking brake. Parking brake, here we go. And there we go. Two blue, one red. Engines dead. Parking checklist.
Parking brake.
Set.
Start levers.
Cut off.
Fuel pumps.
As required. I don't think I'm going to need that many. Set and checked.
Window heat.
Off.
Probe heat.
Off.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Hydraulic pumps.
Electrics off.
Start switches.
Off.
Oil quantity.
$89, 95%. Set and checked.
Hydraulic quantity.
Let's see. Where's my hydraulics? I think they're here. Set and checked.
Radar.
Test.
Transponder.
Standby and zeros.
Parking checklist complete.
Fantastic. So now it's going to take care of deboarding. All right, folks, thanks so much for hanging out today. Really appreciate having you guys with me. My FO has taken care of getting the gate set up for me, and we should be deboarding very shortly. In the meantime, have a great rest of your evening. Much love to everybody. Do wish that the parking gate was set up better, but at the same time, happy to have made it down safely. Sogan, HK, Nathan, thank you so much to everybody that stopped by, said hello. Really appreciate all of you. Great flight today. Happy to have you all aboard as we disembark at Winnipeg. And, dude, my gosh, that was a fast flight.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Speaking of which, I think we're good. There we go. Let's make sure everything's turned off at this point. Wheel well light off. Ground power is available. Let's use the ground power and shut off the pump. Turn off the APU. And ground power is set. All right, folks. And from the quite sunny Winnipeg metro area, I'm going to go ahead and call it today. Thanks so much to everybody that stopped by. Have a great rest of your week. And yeah, hopefully we do some scenery dev this week, and we'll see. Do have a little bit of spring left in some of the trees. I can see some pink out here, and that's not the lack of texture pink. So I'll take a screenshot and we'll call it. Fantastic. I think it likes to keep the sound on. There we go. And now I think I'm going to go ahead and check out the folks disembarking. Superb. Superb. Excuse me. Excuse me. There we go. Man, a lot of folks getting out. A lot of people exiting. That's funny. Fantastic. That'll do it for me, folks. Have a great night. Take care. Let's see if I can find anybody else that's hanging around that we can say hi to really fast. Let me check. I think Sim Caesar's going to be doing flying alongs in Japan next week, but let me see who else is doing Flight Sim right now. Flights with Joel is doing a Mississippi River cruise. Stu is on VATSIM. It's Norcali is going to be doing a bush trip. And I think 757 is doing some Caribbean flights. Anybody else that I haven't seen? Well, let's see. Anybody else? Anybody that I missed? No. I think we're going to go raid 757 Spy. So, thanks again to everybody that stopped by today. Stick around for the raid. Here we go. Have a great night, everybody. And like I always like to say, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace. And that's Jesus. See ya.